Many would say you can't fight like in a computer game. Michel Pereira has his own opinion on the matter.
Superman punch off the fence.
Oh my goodness! What in the world is happening? Oh my goodness! You want to break, guys? Oh my goodness!
To his credit, taking the flying knee.
The chief ambassador of the Brazilian art of Capoeira fighting dance has managed to become an internet sensation and now make UFC fans eagerly waiting for his fights. So let's look back at the chronicles of his dancing walk in the UFC. Michel Pereira's path to the UFC has been long and incredibly thorny. He fought his first professional fight at the age of 17, and over the next few years he was seen very often in various local Brazilian promotions. With a background in karate and capoeira, he quickly rose to fame as one of the most spectacular and reckless fighters of his country, but it was not enough to enter Western market. For several years, the Molitor conquered South America and then went to the East, where with his super spectacular style was beloved by many fans. After a stint with the famous Asian promotion Road FC,
There's the back, just knocked down one shot chair with one of those lunging punches. Just edging his way forward. No, he gets knocked down. Rised.
와.
네.
그래도 분석
왼 터치 화려한 스텝을 보여주고 있는데 네. 플라이니 왼손
Michel finally got a contract with the UFC and made his first trip to the United States, where he was challenged by veteran Danny Roberts. Pereira decided to make his debut with a great pomp and immediately gave a show.
He's showing some well-rounded. There we go.
The 8-fight UFC veteran is a minus 250 favorite. Wow. Also, when his coach told us we're about entertainment.
Having played enough, he made the control shot. He got Roberts with an accurate flying knee, and then he hit him with a very powerful straight punch and put the Briton to sleep. After such of a debut, the guy with a catchy nickname, which translates as Daredevil, was hailed as a rising star, but the Brazilian's potential was still a mystery. So, as not to scare the newcomer's success off, the matchmakers decided to throw in a Canadian debutant, grappler Tristan Connolly, as his opponent. Pereira showed a lot of flashy but useless tricks in the beginning as usual. Connolly was trying to take his opponent down, but the Demolidor was much bigger and stronger, so he easily stopped his transfer attempts. At some point, Michel was run of cardio, and even his size advantage was no longer enough to save him from the wrestling. On the ground, Tristan kept coming out for a guillotine, but was never able to close it due to the difference in strength and size. Eventually, the fight came down to a decision, and Connolly won on scorecards. It became clear that the Brazilian's old tricks had been worked at the local level, but here in the UFC, the approach to fights had to be completely different. Nevertheless, the management liked Pereira and decided to give him a real dinosaur of the promotion, Diego Sanchez, who despite his age was still in the league. Michel didn't show anything new, and from the first segment he started to throw a lot of knees and spectacular kicks. Sanchez had no choice but to be patient and wait for the Brazilian to exhaust himself, but the moment dragged on and Diego was frankly losing the fight on all fronts. In the third segment, Michel got a little too excited and threw another knee to the already sitting American. Jason Herzog immediately gave the veteran time to recover, but he stubbornly insisted that he couldn't continue the fight. In the end, the referee stopped the fight and awarded Sanchez with the victory due to disqualification. We're not exactly sure whether Diego was simulating or not, but a super spectacular Michel was now going with a 1-2 record in the UFC, and in order to stay in the roster he needed to change something urgently. In his next fight, he was given a very dangerous knockout artist from Russia, Zalim Imadaev, who couldn't yet find himself in the UFC. Pereira had a different approach to this fight. The amount of unnecessary actions was noticeably decreased, and the emphasis in technique was replaced by good boxing, thanks to which the Brazilian made a great knockdown in the first round. Michel took advantage of his speed and head movement to constantly make Zelim miss and stay out of danger. In the third round, the showman was ready to finish the fight and delivered a few heavy shots on his opponent, and towards the end, he easily transferred Zelim down and choked him out. A big victory over a dangerous opponent.
It looked like he went.
After regaining the balance of his record and showing a dramatic jump on his fighting IQ, Pereira established himself as an average but very solid fighter. Now he needed to establish himself on the promotion, but management decided to test the fighter again and gave him the explosive Chaos Williams, who had 2 knockout victories in the UFC. The fight was controversial and not very spectacular. The athletes quoted each other's punching power highly and stayed out of the way. Chaos shot well with kicks and repeatedly found a moment to explode with a successful combo. At the same time, Michel was more accurate on the counterattacks, shifted a lot, and also stole the win in the rounds with a wrestling, in which he was head and shoulders above Williams. After 15 minutes of the bout, the judges chose the stuntman as the winner. Pereira's showman potential couldn't be buried, so the management began to seriously looking for opponents with whom Michel could put up a good fight. One of them was the hybrid Nico Price, known for his tough slugfests and the ability to knock a man out with literally any limb. Demolidor once again had not the clearest fight. On the one hand, he was faster and more technical than Price, but on the other hand, he got very tired on the final segment and started getting involved in unnecessary exchanges where he often got unnecessary shots. Nevertheless, the Brazilian survived till the end and was declared the winner. Soon Michel was given a new fight. He was offered a fight against Russian Kung Fu master Muslim Salikov, but Salikov withdrew and a newcomer took his place. The debutant who got his chance was an experienced Portuguese finisher André Fialho, who used to compete in the PFL and got his shot at the UFC via UAE Warriors. This time, Michel made a real show. In the first segment, he kept his opponent away with his long limbs and calmly threw shots working as the second number. André wasn't comfortable with that and soon began aggressively exchanging punches with Pereira, which he eventually backed up and began outboxing Fialho in the classic way, alternating shots to the body and to the head, and not forgetting about his favorite tricks. The Brazilian confidently took apart the debutant and gained his third victory in a row. Demolidor had really gained his momentum and was not about to let up. With his winning streak, it was time to get his opponent out of the top rankings, which soon happened. The chance to pass in the top 15 for the Brazilian was a seasoned warrior from Argentina, Santiago Ponzinibbio, who had just returned from a long break and was eager to fight. The fight between the two bright strikers was the co-main event of the Fight Night Series event. In the first minutes, Michel was much better than his opponent. He met Santiago with his trademark long crosses and prevented the Argentinian from catching him with a left hook. His body shots came in handy and prevented his opponent from adjusting, but gradually Daredevil began to run out of his stamina and Ponzinibbio began to gain momentum. From this point of the fight, both fighters began to involve in exchanges, in which got shots and delivered considerable damage, making the rounds quite difficult to judge. With difficulties, but the athletes withstood each other's onslaught and made it to the end. By a decision of 2 judges out of 3, Michel Pereira was victorious. If you like the video, then let us know at the comments. Video about who you would like to see on our channel.
Taking it.
Immediately a Superman punch off the fence.
Oh my goodness. What in the world is happening? If you're going to break somebody, big knee.
Gotta be careful with that too, of course.
Oh my goodness.
Of his total strikes unofficially. Get a Superman punch. Hard to keep track. And I would agree with Pereira.
Oh, he just slapped him, Johnny just slapped him.
2020.